It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name's Mike Royer.
And this week we're covering C2E2 2023, or at least my, part of it there. Mike wasn't there,
Yes.
but he lived through me vicariously, I will tell you.
Yes, your adventure there, or as we like to call it, Chicago Comic-Con for the unknowers.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were there, boots on the ground, excited to hear your report.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting ready for a week of superhero trailers, and Mike, we were discussing this, and literally the trailer we were waiting for, it's already online 8 minutes ago. So we missed what we were refreshing for, literally as we were sitting here to refresh it, but we've got a lot more.
Well, things are already derailing, folks.
Yes.
I had the Marvel Entertainment YouTube page up, and it's not. They don't have it. It's
on
not there.
It's on the tweeters. I'll link you to the tweeters. So we're gonna do a live watch with you guys and try to play the audio through for you guys. So bear with us as we kind of do this. I like as Mike said, insider baseball, because it was during a baseball game. Scott Pilgrim's returned as an anime, and we've got some details on that, which is pretty cool, and more. Mike, more.
Yeah, but as Chris was saying, he was just mere hours ago in the grand city of Chicago for C2E2, which means we are recording later in the day as usual. So if we would have recorded normally earlier in the day, we would be telling you right now, oh, stay tuned for the Secret Invasion trailer that's airing tonight. As you're listening to the podcast right now, it's probably already available. You're in the future. But right now, since we've waited, we are trying to incorporate it in the show. It's like breaking news. Imagine like that red chyron, like as you're watching like a 24-hour news channel, you know? Beep, 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 coming in Secret Invasion trailer.
It's probably playing right now in the background. There we go. Yeah, absolutely. Like we are literally... I just downloaded it. We're going to do a live watch here on the show, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And then we're going to... It's a 2-minute trailer, Mike, by the way. I just looked it up and do that. So we just pulled it. It was during, what was it, like an Eagles and something other baseball game. And we spent probably more time looking up when do trailers debut during baseball than actually trying to refresh the page.
I was like, we're a little bit more familiar when it comes to football, I would say, due to the Super Bowl. Because you kind of know where the peaks and valleys are when you're watching a football game, right? You know, you got kickoff, 2-minute warning before halftime, first commercial of the game. But, I don't know how things work in baseball.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I was just like, I don't know. And you actually were ahead of me because you knew something about the 7th inning, and I'm like, I have no idea. I know there's 9 total, and that was about as far as I got. So applause to you, Mike, for getting that far.
We need to hire an editor that can just do a supercut of us trying to break down how sports work. It's always very, very fun to see us flounder over here. We are
snackers, not sportsers. So I believe that's how we do it over here. But I mean, do you want to get into this, Mike? I mean, I was just telling him, I've been through I think 7 states in the past 7 days, in 2 different time zones, and I am just full of travel food, because you don't eat healthy when you travel, right? Like that's the worst part. You're like, I want to experience it. So I'm just absolutely, I wouldn't say miserable, but like my feet are sore. I've been driving in a car all day, and I've not eaten probably a single green thing in a week. Let me talk about C2E2, which stands for Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo. Like we do this every year. I've been there since at least 2011, if not 2010. Every year I could go, and no different this year. Absolutely wonderful. Packed house. They sold out of tickets on Saturday, Mike, which I've never, it was a rarity, right, to sell tickets at a Comic-Con.
You were saying this is one of the few versions of the convention that have happened during warmer times, not just in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very warm on Friday, and so warm it actually caused tornadoes up here Friday evening. And driving home, I actually saw some destruction on the side of the interstate on I-65, Mike's a little north of Purdue, and I was like, well, yeah, I feel it's absolutely horrible for those people, so hopefully everyone's fine. But with the risk of warm weather in March comes the Midwest tornado season. And then Saturday was very rainy and cold, so it was very fun to go back and forth. But yeah, people were out in full force, Mike. They were lined up to get in at 10 o'clock throughout the day. What I love about Comic-Cons, and this is, I think, a little known, I guess, quote unquote secret, if you have the ability to take off Friday from work and go Friday to a Comic-Con, you're going to have so much more space than if you have on Saturdays, because no one takes off work. They'll go first thing Saturday morning and try to get it all done. And you could just tell it packed. And even though, I was there Friday to get my photo with the Chris Evans, the Captain America himself, I was still able to freely meander around, find seats at tables, right? Like that's the hardest part when you're like, I want to sit down. On a busy day, you're not finding an open table at all. So very, very lucky to do that. But Fridays are great. I want to give a shout. I have a little video, or not video, sound interview with Andrew Heath, an artist who I would say is local to me, within an hour and a half from me. I've known him for years, personally as a friend and as an artist. He always does really, really great work. So I bought some of his prints this year, Mike. One of them is all the retro game cartridges and like discs all laid out together, which is really cool. I got a Smash Brothers poster of the lineup of the original characters, like a grid. And then one of my favorites is he recently did all 5 Gundam Wing Gundams in a row, portraits,
beautiful
across. And I'm like, no one else is gonna get this. I opened up. I came on, I was showing my wife the goods, and she's like, "Oh, look at the Transformers." I'm like, I appreciate the effort, but
divorce.
It is not Transformers. She's watching she's watching Dragon Ball, Mike. I can't get too mad right now. So
okay, yeah. Pop culture kind of poster illustrations, very in the zeitgeist right now with. Yeah. Funko shutting down Mondo effectively for the most part.
They brought it back. They actually reopened Mondo this week. I don't know if you saw that or not. So
lots of I've seen open letters from the CEO and people responding. So I don't know exactly where it is now, because they said they're going to be dedicating more space to printing vinyl records. So
they are
not really sure.
they did say on Friday, because again at a Comic-Con, fucking everything is the every news that you think that we I'm not going into work and expecting people to talk about this, but at a Comic-Con everyone's talking about it. But Mondo is doing the posters again, and they're going to do, instead of limited prints, bigger print runs so more people can have access to the posters. So it sounds like enough maybe outcry from it made them decide to do it, but it maybe from a business point of view, we have to sell more to keep the company open. So,
but I will give credit to this artist, Andrew Heath. I had to Google them at the top of the show because I was like, who's this person that Chris added in the show notes? And I almost thought you were going to try to pivot into a Mondo conversation, and they were a Mondo artist or something like that. So props for them for making work at a professional level quality. I don't know exactly if they are working with any big print shops or studios, but good for them. They got really good work.
He does his prints. The other things I would say, he currently, you can see on his website, the Frozen culture. These are actually vinyl figures, blind bags you can get of licensed properties that look like popsicles with a bite taken out of them. At the show, he had full sets of the Back to the Future set, so those were there. He's got some other properties coming up, including the Universal Monster, or I guess the out of rights monsters, right? The Monsterverse stuff, and some other ones coming up that he's got licensed, and those are really cool. And I believe you can buy them through his website, and they're in FYE and some other stores as well. So those are cool. But I love his posters. I have some older sets of his Mario and Luigi pair, little square images. And he talked about in our interview, his posters are actually printed to the specific size he wants them to be, right? He's not making a design and scaling it to fit different sizes. Oh, do you want to buy a small one of this? I have a small, medium, and large. No, he's you get it at this size because this is how I design the space and the layout. So I'm going to post that hopefully this week. Again, Andy, I ran into him before the show on accident, ran into him leaving the show on accident. I felt I was I'm not following you. I swear to God. It is just my luck and how I operate. So, I want to give a shout out to Andrew. Another couple things. Again, I got my photo with Chris Evans. Wonderful guy. I did see a very interesting incident in front of me in line. So you get in these lines, like they're like cattle lines, right? Like, all right, everyone get here. We're gonna go through. We're gonna move. We're gonna boom, 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 get in and out of here. We got lots of photos to do. The people in front of me, woman's dressed as Captain America from Infinity War, and the other one is wife, girlfriend, maybe was Captain Carter. So they both had their shields and stuff like that. If you get closer, and they put little headbands that say "Happy Birthday." I'm like, it's not Chris Evans' birthday. And the person beside me did confirm that. When we were talking, and they get there, and then like, okay, you can have your shields and just no touching. You can fist bump them, but that's it. Like, right? Don't freak out the celebrities. And as we get there, they put their bags on and they whip out a fucking cake, like a birthday cake, like from a grocery store, and like pop the top off of it. And the security's like, they were like, let me look. And he looks to the left, and Lady's just like, no, goddamn way are we letting a birthday cake, like food, go into this photo shoot.
So who was the cake supposed to be for?
Well,
for the people taking the picture with Chris Evans?
Apparently it was the girl's birthday. And then I was like, why would you bring a cake to, like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever, like, there are other ways to celebrate. Like, bring a prop cake, right? They let you bring props in. Like, do a cardboard cake. No one's going to tell from the photo. It was just the absolute zaniest thing because it seemed normal for like the longest time, and then like things kept unfolding, and I'm like, what in the world is happening? I do think there is a fun little bit of strategy and meta game, right, for these high profile celebrity photo ops, right? Where like, you want your picture with them, right? But also really what you're striving for is kind of like a unique moment, right? Yep.
In the best case scenario, not only do you walk away remembering Chris Evans, but Chris Evans walks away remembering you, out of a pool of a huge people. So like, dressing up in cosplay, that's probably a great way to get like, it's almost like when you're walking up to like a video game NPC and you want to get to like additional dialogue trees, right? How do I get to Chris Evans' additional dialogue tree in the photo op, right? So, I mean, I can't fault them for trying something unique with the cake, but you're risking the security just being like, no, you're gonna like Steve Aoki and throw this cake at Chris Evans. I can
right. Well, exactly. And like, what's he gonna do? Like, if you give him, like, are you trying to give him the cake? Like, he's not gonna eat the goddamn cake. Like, there's, again, props totally would understand, but a real cake, I saw them open literally in front of me. I was like, huh. They like about dropped it. There were sprinkles everywhere. I'm like, this is just a mess. Like, this is how you get ants right here. But lovely gentlemen. For a little bit I got in there out of, you don't have a lot of time with a celebrity in these things. They literally are shuffling people in and out to get all the photos done. But it was a lovely experience. I had a good time. So
what's your count now? You have a photo with Paul Rudd, Chris Evans. Any others that I'm misremembering?
Technically, Daisy Johnson, Chloe Bennett, right, from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a couple Stan Lees, but no bigger celebrities like that, I guess.
Gotcha.
From the MCU. But it doesn't mean I won't work there. They are pricey events as you get there. You could get 2 photos with Zachary Levi for the price of 1 photo with Chris Evans at the same convention center.
That's pretty funny.
So, yeah, absolutely. So that was a great time. I want to say I had a brush-in with John Glover, and I said, Mike, do you know who John Glover is? Through text.
I will have to admit, I saw the name, and I was like, this feels very familiar.
Yes.
So then I had to look it up. And the second I did, I was like, that's Lex Luthor's dad from Smallville. Of course, Lionel Luthor.
Lionel Luthor. Also, Savannah's dad in the first Shazam movie. He is great at playing corporate evil dads who don't care about their children. He was like leaving through, and he like turned around and like bumped into me and this other person I was with, and he like gave them a hug, gave me a hug, and I just kind of stood there like starstruck. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And so did he. He was like, he got at me, and the guy was like, come on, we gotta go, John. I'm like, oh my god. The person was there like, oh, that was fun. I'm like, you not know who that was? That was John Glover. And they were like, who? Like, you did. I'm like, the dad. Yeah. Lex Luthor's
John
dad.
Glover. I mean, he is a tour de force. It's not just like, oh, this is like an actor from like a popular superhero thing. He is an amazing performer. Like, he steals every scene that he's in like Smallville. He is like, he's great.
Yeah, absolutely. He, like I said, he's been in a bunch of movies. I did pull it up just to make sure. He was in Gremlins 2. I was like, Gremlins, but he was in Gremlins 2.
Oh, he was, right? Wasn't he like, he worked in that building?
Yeah.
With the Gremlins, right? Well, I mean, I guess literally every actor in the movie was in that building.
Right. He is the voice. He was in RoboCop 2. He does the voice of the Riddler in Batman the Animated Series. Very ingrained in DC, stuff like that. He's in a lot of stuff. If you go look him up, you'll recognize him right away. It was fun to kind of bump into a celebrity, kind of be like starstruck along, like, oh, this is awesome. But yeah, I mean, all C2E2 this year was interesting. There were no comic publishers on the floor, Mike, and that's usually like the big thing we look for. Right? What's Marvel doing? What's DC doing? What's Image or Boom, whatever. None of that. They were not there this year, but they had panels with like comics and stuff like that. So that was fun. But nothing on the floor. Instead, they had a lot more vendors than usual and a lot more art vendors selling their art out on the floor rather than being an artist alley. Artist Alley had a couple highlights. Again, Bill Amond, Foxtrot. I was able to get him to sign my collections. He drew what's the younger kid's name? Jason. He drew a Jason for me. Jason there for me. He had some pins with the older brother playing like an arcade game, eating pizza. I'm like, these are perfect for me. Like, this is my life right here. Shout out to Art Baltazar. He does. He owns All Yeah Comics and a couple comic shops. He always does a little sketch for me if you buy his stuff. He drew me Sentry this year, Mike. I always ask for a Sentry.
Oh, that's awesome.
I gotta have him. Saladin Ahmed, the writer of Black Bolt, the more recent Black Bolt stuff, was there, so I got him to sign some stuff. Just kind of thinking through here, what else? Charles Soule. Have you ever heard of Charles Soule as a comic writer, like author?
No, I've heard of Charles Schultz.
Yeah, that's true. Charles Soule,
he wrote different comic creator.
Yeah, he wrote. He got really big. He's done some Daredevil work. His She-Hulk stuff is kind of really what the show's based on. Like a lot of the show stuff's based on him. He has done like most of the Star Wars and Darth Vader comic books since Marvel started publishing those several years ago. And he has been writing the New Republic or High Republic novels for Star Wars and Marvel. So actually, I picked up The Light of the Jedi, which is the first novel in that series from him. There, and he signed it for me. He's a lovely gentleman, absolutely great. And he's got a comic series that wraps up in 2 weeks called 8 Billion Genies.
I've heard of this.
Yes,
yeah. I know the concept. I've had this in my Amazon wish list for a minute, and I've wanted to read it. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, the final issue comes out, I guess, a week and a half. So, he does that. The artist was there who does 8 Billion Genies. I just have to give him. I was like, look, if no one has told you this, using the obscure space backgrounds for the backgrounds of the genie designs is absolutely fantastic. Like, it gives them an ethereal, omnipotent feeling, but like they're also like really kind of quirky. Like, they take on the traits of like the owner of the genie as well. So the artwork in that's fantastic. So both the writer and artist were there. It's a funny story about that. So Charles was signing my buddy Brian's book, and he had the artist sign it last year in 2021 or 22. So he got the artist in 22. Charles takes it, he's like, well, I'm gonna write. He's like, I got a 24 on this, and we just kind of looked at each other like, is this an April Fool's joke? Like, it's not 2024. Like, why did he write 2024 on it? We couldn't really figure it out. We just kind of left it at that. So that's a good time on the show floor.
Looks like the first volume for 8 Billion Genies is coming out July 25th.
Yes,
this year.
That should be the full set of books.
Adding that to my list.
Yes, absolutely. I recommend. I've read every issue. I joined late on that, so I was able to read like half of it before I started doing monthly. But I was like, damn, this is good.
This feels like something that gets like adapted, like on a streaming service at some point. So
it's crazy. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's about one day on Earth, just randomly, the entire population, 8 billion people, get a genie, and you get one wish for whatever it is. And there are rules about the wishes, and I'm not going to go into it, but like, if you have a wish, like, like a Thanos wish, Mike, I wish half the people were dead, and I have a wish that half the people were alive, the wishes just cancel each other out, and they're used, kind of thing. Some people use it for good, some people for bad. It's really crazy, because it takes place, the last book I think was like 80 years into the future from like the day one, like on Genie Day. So like it's covering this huge concept, like timeline thing. So it's really fun.
As far as as it was described to me, it was just like everyone gets one wish, the world falls into chaos, but like one person's wish was like to wish for like like sanctuary. It was like
Pretty
like
much,
a
yeah.
bar where you can like be safe. It almost kind of feels almost like John Wick in
Yeah.
a way of just like you're safe here, just don't go outside.
Yeah, and that is I would say the first half of it kind of deals with that, right? But like how do you live knowing you have a genie's wish and also you're stuck in a bar like while the world's going to hell around you?
Super fun, high concepts.
Yeah, absolutely, it's great. So that was cool, but I'm sure I'll think of more later. I was able to pick up some cool books, some artwork, some posters. Really, really fun. Again, if you ever get a chance to go to C2E2, it's not San Diego Comic-Con level, but it is really, really fun for a day. Absolutely had a blast being there. And always great to catch up with people. Got to see friend of the show, Quentin Parker. Have not got to see him in years. You hit up some arcade bars in the evenings and have a good time. So highly recommend it for that. Mike, tell me what this next link is, because I swear to God I've seen this before. And I don't know if you shared it or somebody else did. I think it might have been you.
I'm surprised you must have been off social media this week, or I'm sure you're
I've
busy.
been traveling for 7 days straight.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did forget. Yeah, that's why we had to record earlier last week. So yeah, you know how at the end of the show, I always tell everybody, if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Mike Royer Design or read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Well, on Monday last week, launched a brand new webcomic called Life Rewards Risk. So I have a new website that I'll be pitching to everybody at the end of the show, but I might as well put it at the top of the show here.
There you go.
LifeRewardsRisk.com. It's a brand new webcomic that I've created. There are a total of nine comics right now. One of them is a 4-parter. It's the first time I've made a comic where all of the characters are consistent. There's a rough overarching story between all of the comics. You can get to know all of the characters, but I just thought that this would be like a fun new challenge for me, as all of my old web comics have just been all like one-off gags, brand new stories, characters, and locations every single time. And I was like, I bet I could get a lot more work done if I didn't have to rethink the world and people in these every single time that I make a comic. So yeah, for like the last year or so, I've been sketching these characters and what I wanted them to look like, maybe what I wanted them to feel like. And then the last few weeks, I've been kind of creating like a backlog, a pool of comics. So last week, if you follow me online, I have been posting one every single day from Monday through Friday. So now I have them everywhere that you can put a webcomic. I got them on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit, Facebook. So if you head to liferewardsrisk.com, I have all of those links there. However you like to listen to,
awesome.
Or not listen to. I'm so used to saying listen because we're on a podcast. Wherever you like to read or ingest your webcomics, you can go check it out there. And then we'll see, hopefully, if I can keep up with a now once a week schedule, which this is just a lot more fun for me than it has been in the past, because like all the comics are 4 panels. I can make them a lot faster. There's more fun and energy behind them. I can go from kind of idea to finished product in like a day instead of where it's taken me days and days and days and like so many panels. So it's been really, really fun. So follow along and watch as I grow the characters and evolve them. So liferewardsrisk.com, go check it out.
Nice. Yes. Yeah. Go do. I was thinking about, was it you? Maybe I was talking to somebody else. Like literally, before it was like early 2014, 2013. We wrote the history of Marvel Studios before like we knew like we'd only been like 7 movies and like, oh, this is great. How are we gonna get 7 more? And like we got like 7 this year. So I know your Pickled comics and your artwork they're always great. So I agree. For everyone, this is Mike not promoting himself. This is me promoting Mike for him. Go check out and click follow.
Oh, screw it. I will promote myself.
I know you will.
Whole podcast.
Everyone toots their own horn, Mike. I'm just saying, there's as a secondary unbiased source, and people know I will be unbiased with you.
Technically, every second I talk on this podcast, I am promoting myself in a way.
100%. So then let's jump into this. I want to say, Mike has not seen this movie. I was able to go see the fan event of Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves this week, Mike. This movie is currently at 38 million opening weekend, and it was only projected like originally for like 25 million. They made it for like 125 million. It's like 71 overall first weekend. Great news for this movie, right? I will say this is one of those films that was just an absolute blast to watch in theaters the whole time I was there. Like, it is, a band of people, right? Different people from different classes from Dungeons and Dragons lore, if you will, going on an adventure across realms, dealing with, Dungeons and Dragony things, and having, I've got a little deeper knowledge of the D&D world, but like, even my wife, who has no idea what any of this is, had a great time, because I think the chemistry of the characters are great. The action scenes are wild and varied. Like, they feel really good. It's got a really good, I guess, antagonist that you want to root against, and like the stuff they're doing. It was just a really, really fun time, Mike. So like, I'm trying not to give this away, because there's so much in this movie. There's even a surprise cameo about halfway through that just blew my socks off.
That's great. Yeah, I've been hearing lots of buzz. We met up with some friends last night that are usually like pretty picky when it comes to their movies and entertainment. And, I knew they had seen the movie earlier that day, so I was like, oh, how did you like it? I was kind of like bracing for the worst. They're like, oh, no, we had a good time. Yeah. Like kind of like no notes type of situations. I was like, okay. I mean, if it can please them, they're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. What I would like to see after watching this, and hopefully when you get to watch it, we can talk about it. It's like, sequels in this world, right? Or like more movies set in this world that are like maybe running adjacent. They cross paths with the other characters, because that's how D&D campaigns work, right? So I think they've set themselves up for really knocking it out of the park with this, because it's just so funny and so great. And the lead characters are Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez, by the way, and they just have such great, like, they embody the two characters through and through. Everybody else does great too, but like, you have strong leads, and they really knock it out of the park, and everybody else just kind of goes along with them. Had a really good time with the actor from Bridgerton, Reggie Jean Page. He is the paladin in this movie, and just chef's kiss, Mike, like on how they handle this. I'm really excited for your reactions, like, for someone like, who's not as knowledgeable about how things work. So absolutely loved it, and I would highly recommend it for anyone who wants to go catch a really fun movie in theaters. You can wait till it comes out. I don't know when it'll come out, but like, I want this to make money enough so like, yes, we want to make more of these, because the last time Chris Pine had a franchise was Star Trek, right? And Wonder Woman, and both of those tanked like really quickly on their second movie. So hopefully they don't wait as long, and they can just knock this out pretty quick and keep going. And it's got the guys who wrote the first Spider-Man movie, right? John Francis Daley and what's the other guy? They wrote Spider-Man: Homecoming. They directed this movie, so fun through and through. All right, let's jump into some real news. We're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, Mike, because there's a teaser video in here. It's like 30 seconds long, telling us tickets are on sale tomorrow, April 3rd. Yes, I double check that. So go ahead and get ready to get your tickets. We are a month out. This is May 5th. I can't believe we're a month out from Guardians 3, Mike. The final hurrah, if you will.
Oh, for some reason I was internalizing like a July release, but wow, yeah, that's quick.
and this little teaser is a lot of little quick snippets, nothing like major, but like that makes me think like, oh, they're gonna do a big trailer for like buy your tickets now, right? Like that's how I feel this works, and I feel like that's exactly what they're gonna do tomorrow. Whenever we get to this ticket on sale thing, I'm ready to buy. I've actually am buying several tickets because people want to go watch this one with us. We're starting. I guess I'm getting a posse for the movies, the Marvel movies. No one went with Ant-Man with me, and that should have been a sign. That should have been a sign. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for this, Mike. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited to dive into this and get ready for our James Gunn movie a year for the next forever, if you will. We were at the I guess bar Friday night, the arcade bar, and they were playing Suicide Squad on the TV in there, his movie.
Hey.
So we were watching that. I was like, every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, I remember that part. So, May 5th, 2023. Anything else on that? You good?
No, I think we're ready for the main event.
You just want to get to this part. It's so bad. I can tell in your voice. So we are at the part where we're going to talk about Secret Invasion. For everyone who doesn't know, there are time codes in this if you want to jump around to wherever you are. If you don't want to listen to us, watch this trailer. I'm going to put a time code whenever it's over as well. So there'll be 2 time codes, one for when it starts and one for when it's over. So it's a 2-minute trailer, Mike. We're gonna go ahead and watch it live. Hopefully the sound comes through. If not, I'll try to edit into it. But Mike, are you ready to rock and roll on this trailer?
I got it pulled up. My mouse is on the play button. I'm ready to go on a 3, 2, 1.
All right. Let me make sure all this is coming into my headset. All right. Ready?
Yes.
Hold on one more second. Sorry, Mike. Sorry, guys. I've got like too many.
Oh
I'm trying to watch it while also make sure the podcast
the trailer
works.
There's no way the trailer lives up to all this hype.
Yeah,
we're just
absolutely.
excited because rarely does a trailer air the second that we start recording the podcast.
All right, we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Fury. Since you've been gone, things have gotten much worse. How do you think I came back?
You're in no shape for this fight that lies before us, old friend.
This is personal.
Very few of us know about the wars fought in the shadows that have raged on this planet. Do you feel responsible?
Where are the Avengers?
This war is one I have to fight. Alone.
You're the most wanted man on the planet.
You don't know what they have planned for you.
The great Nick Fury. One last fight.
Well, that's one moody,
Yeah.
moody trailer for sure, man. I feel like they could swap out Secret Invasion and just call it the Nick Fury show, because that seems to be the pivot that they're making there with that trailer.
I would say Secret Invasion. People like the clicks, right? They like the name of a comic book coming to life. So I think that's why they named it that. But absolutely, this is the as they say there at the end of the trailer, the one last fight for Nick Fury. And I would not be surprised if he doesn't make it out of this. Right? We've done our Nick Fury stuff. We can put him in the pasture, if you will. Samuel L. Jackson's been great in this role, right? For literally 15 years now. And I loved in this trailer alone. I don't know if he had different facial hairstyles throughout this. He had a full beard, a goatee, a half beard, the whole way through that.
I don't know if it's just the clips chosen for the trailer, but he seemed a little bit more reserved in a way, extremely cautious.
Yeah.
I love this idea that he, has been in space. In my head canon, it kind of feels like, oh, he's been busy thinking very macro, or right now of I'm out in space. I'm worried about, the next big giant alien that's going to eat our planet. And oh yeah, when I'm off surface, people start blowing up buildings. I don't know about you, Chris, but as an American audience member, whenever I see an aerial view of London, kind of those particular buildings, I always get Mission Impossible, James Bond vibes. I'm that aerial shot of is it the River Thames, right? And, the bridges and stuff, and that one building that kind of looks like a unbloomed flower. I'm always just oh, it's gonna get spy shit is about to happen. Yeah. So that shot really resonated with me.
Oh, absolutely. And this seems to be, like you said, reserved in terms of not just tone but of visuals as well, right? This seems filmed literally you mentioned a Jason Bourne movie, a little bit, right? Very actually dark and I hate the word gritty, grungy even a little bit. So I'm seeing that a little bit. It's fun to see Talos. It looks like, again, we see Emilia Clarke, who's confirmed to be playing Gia, which is the daughter of Talos. She was a little girl in the first Captain Marvel movie, remember? So
oh yeah.
so she's a grown-up version of that character from Captain Marvel. In there that the main actor Ben Kingsley Deer, he seemed to have looks like tentacles grow out of his arm there a little bit at the end. There was a shot there he was doing. I've seen a couple of pictures of that on the internet. That's interesting. I don't know what powers they have other than shapeshifting, but fantastic.
Is this because the whole story here is that there could be, right? There's like an alternate alien that's not the Kree that they're fighting against as well, or is it a different faction? I don't remember exactly where we landed on the story the last time we talked about this.
It is a faction of Kree, or Skrulls. Is a faction of Skrulls.
Yeah, sorry. No, the Kree were the
blue ones.
The blue ones. Yeah, that's right.
But they are, and according to this Vanity Fair article, they are extremists, who, as we saw in Captain Marvel, they're refugees, right? At the end of that. In this, they are like, we're tired of sitting on the sidelines and doing nothing. Like, these radicalists want to take over and make their own destiny. It sounds like. So this really is crazy. I saw a bunch of, again, we get to see Martin Freeman, Everett Ross again, right? We saw him in Black Panther. Mm-hmm. This looks like a better Everett Ross. No offense to whatever little bit they threw him in Black Panther, but this looks way more fun, right? That he's in England and doing stuff like that. The first reactions, it just looks fantastic. It reminds me of this Winter Soldier tone, if you will, a little bit more.
Yeah, those intense spy thriller vibes. The one thing that I am I'm always on the lookout now for, especially when it comes to these Disney Plus Marvel shows, is anything of consequence going to kind of come out of this show, right? Mm-hmm. I understand a lot of these shows, their main purpose is to establish these new characters and to move them forward, right? Like with Miss Marvel, the goal of that show is to endear us to the character, right? But we already know these characters. We're already aware of this conflict that they're setting up right now. If you look at Secret Invasion in the comic books, that is a big inflection point, right? You have characters that have been aliens for the longest time. It has literally been a secret invasion. So and so has actually been dead all along, and they've been a clone or alien, whatever you want to call them, the whole time. I wonder if any big things like that's going to happen, right? Is this going to be required watching because or is it just going to be like, some random C-list characters in the MCU were actually duplicates the whole time? It's not really that big of a deal.
I really hope it is the other way, right? We see not only Martin Freeman, who we also saw Don Cheadle return, right? Mm-hmm. He was in the first trailer walking without his assistance.
Well, what if Don Cheadle was a Skrull the whole time, and that's why the character looks so different between Iron Man 1 and 2.
Look, we're not gonna get into it, but in good news this week, Ike Perlmutter was fired from Disney. Thank God. He is infamous for being like, we'll replace Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle because audiences won't notice, Mike. So I don't even want to touch what you said because of how an insensitive prick he is. So, but overall, you linked this Vanity Fair article, which I did not get to see until now. It's got a lot of good screenshots in here, right? You get to see, Nick Fury, Maria Hill. There's one shot there. It's probably Maria Hill, but it looked like it could be literally Chloe Bennett, who played Quake: Her Return. That's been rumored forever. Whenever the car flips over, I'm like, wow. I want to see how many people are in this show that we just don't know yet.
I mean, Maria Hill, she's the type of character that seems like the perfect has been an alien all along, right?
Yeah.
No one's super endeared to her character in a way where it's going to throw everybody off, but she's kind of always been there, right? Assisting. Yeah. So I could see that being a shift. Well,
the problem with that is she was confirmed to be an alien in the last movie we saw her in, Spider-Man. Far From Home at the end.
But we're not 100% sure. Did they ask them to do that? Go take my SATs because,
Well, I just don't think...
Go look like me and take my SATs, right?
I just don't think that it's going to be an alien playing another alien. That's my only thing. I don't think they're going to do the same character twice would be my, thought process. But really, it could be so many people in here. Hopefully we get to see some more and they really pull the rug out from under us. It was really fun to see him literally it kind of reminds me of the ill-fated Terminator 3 movie when Nick Fury goes to his grave and tomb and like starts pulling guns and stuff out of his graves. I'm like, of course he did. Of course he buried himself with guns.
Right. That's always the fun thing about Nick Fury, right? He is always one step not ahead of just the baddies and the other cast members. He's always ahead of the audience too, right? Just when you think he's down and out, he's got a secret. His
secrets have secrets. They say in the movie.
Kind of like Batman in a way. I feel like Batman always has he might not be super powered, but he's always got plan B, C, D, E.
He's got friends in low places and guns when he needs them. But I mean, to me, it feels like they're literally taking the Secret Invasion storyline, that character, and literally, like I said, even with the cars blowing up and flipping, we're feeling like they're taking Winter Soldier vibes, like that Nick Fury, right? The badass Nick Fury we saw in that one. He's sick of your shit kind of thing in this. So I'm excited for this, Mike. We have a release date of June 21st of this year. So that's 2 months after Guardians comes out, almost a month and a half. That's really, kind of takes our release schedule we looked at and pushes it back just a hair. But I think that goes with everything we're saying. Like Marvel's / Disney are not slowing down releases, but spacing them out a little bit more, right? So, I'm excited. Yeah, right. That was fun. That was fun to watch that. So
it was fun. Yeah, watching it live.
Yeah. So we'll keep you guys posted if anything else comes up. But I'm very excited to kind of dive into that. Maybe pull some secrets out next week when we come back. Fantastic Four, the movie that no one has done right so far in the history of Fantastic Four movies, has hired Josh Friedman, who wrote Avatar: The Way of Water, to write the script for the upcoming movie. So
everyone knows I've already been blue pilled by Avatar. I'm down for it. I like the story. I seem to fluctuate between do I want a serious Marvel movie or do I want a fun Marvel movie? I think there is home for both of them, right? But one thing that was refreshing about Avatar: The Way of Water was kind of its intensity, right? There's not a lot of quips here and there. You're just in a dramatic story with aliens versus humans versus whales versus crab robots, right? And it's just like an intense ride. So yeah, I'm fine if they want to bring a little bit of that energy with the Fantastic Four. So yeah, good job, Josh.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things about The Way of Water is it is a tight movie on family, right? Like literally he wrote a really good family story in there. Absolutely. So I think that can translate over really well. Avatar has the sci-fi parts, right, which Fantastic Four will need. He's done great. I will also say I give him credit for he wrote and created the Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles.
That's TV like show. A cult classic.
I loved watching that when that came out. So I'm like, this guy knows science fiction through and through for that. So really, really excited to kind of see what he does with this. And I looked up, he's actually also got Avatar 3, 4, and 5 credits because apparently they're all tied in together as well. So this guy is just working his way through Hollywood in all the right areas. So kudos to him. Wonder Man, we reported on this, I say months ago, but it's been, I think, confirmed that actor Demetrius Grosse, who was in that show, I can never remember the name, where Lovecraft Country. He's in Lovecraft Country. He officially has joined the series as the character Grim Reaper, who is the brother to Wonder Man. Grim Reaper in the Marvel comic books, he literally has this big, weird Galactus-looking headpiece and a scythe for a hand on one of his things. So I don't know what they're gonna do with him in the MCU, but he's a little out there, but he's always been like a killing style villain in there. So be interested to kind of see what they do with him in this. And knowing that the actor who plays Black Manta in Aquaman is Wonder Man, this all kind of lines up a little bit together. So I would like to know more about Wonder Man, Mike. I don't know about you. This is we keep getting casting information and news about it, but where is it? What's it gonna do? Is where I want to live.
Since it's kind of like a lower kind of tier character overall that no one's super familiar with for the most part. Like all of the devil is going to be in the details in the way, right? What is the story? What are they trying to tell? So there's not going to be probably big, flashy, headlines for this one. It'll air, and we'll see if we like it or not.
Yeah. Well, I said the only two big things. It is bringing back Ben Kingsley, right, as Trevor Slattery in this, and it's I think maybe not showrun, but created by Daniel Desencretin, who did Shang-Chi. So I think those are two big names attached to this. But like, what genre is it? Is it humor? Is it a comedy action? Is it like a drama? Is it a where does this live? That's where I kind of like to pinpoint it. But I think we'll get more. I hate to say it, but got to start thinking about SDCC, Mike. That's going to be our next big con where we get some news. So we'll cross our fingers for that. Captain America: New World Order. We got images for this. You want to get in our show notes because you're going to want to see two things. One, the official return of Liv Tyler as Betty Ross, Mike. We have not seen her in the MCU since The Incredible Hulk in 2008. They have brought back literally every actor and character in this movie back into the MCU at some point. So I think this is fantastic. That she's back in here as this role. It looks to me like they're maybe at a funeral for something.
Is this? I'm looking at the second photo. Is this a short person next to her, or is that like a daughter or a teenager? No. Okay, this one's a little closer. No, I don't think so. It looks like an adult.
I think so. I think it's just like some forced perspective there a little bit. But Liv Tyler returning as a character in Captain America 4 New World Order, and then we get to see also in this set you get to see Anthony Mackie back, and it looks like he's got an arm in a sling. Someone has probably died after a battle or something, right? It looks like something got wrong.
Yeah, like are we looking at like set photos for like the last episode of the season or something? Right?
Well,
it's a day. I don't know.
It's a movie, so we don't have to worry about that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It is a movie.
But that's fun. Confirmation that she is returning, and that's great. The next set of the two photos, I think we'll talk about a little bit more. We have Harrison Ford on set, looking like regular Harrison Ford any other day. And Tim Blake Nelson literally looking like he just woke up, as he always looks, but his arms are green, Mike.
Yeah, that's the big takeaway here. It looks like, I mean, I hate to give everyone this visual. It looks like he's been fishing around in like a toilet, right? You know how like in a porta potty, like they dye the water. It looks like he dropped like his watch or something, and he went in there with each hand trying to fish it out.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know, like, is this supposed to be like maybe he's like mid transformation, or do they just need a close up on his hands? Like I don't really know what the context of just his hands, because it looks like they're done, right? He's like walking to set, I can't imagine makeup stops halfway up the arm and then says, okay, go to lunch and come back, right? It seems like this is how much they need his hands colored for the scene.
Yeah, they could be doing post-production color on his skin, because the leader normally has a human-like body, but the large head, right, as his character build. But to me, this kind of looks like how he looked in the Incredible Hulk ending. So is this like maybe they're filming the first time he transformed at the end of the movie, like a little bit, because this looks he looks the same. He's an actor, right? Actors don't age too often. Even Harrison Ford doesn't look as old as he does in these set photos. But yeah, his green hands are really throwing me off. But like, the leader's a different character. Like he doesn't transform back and forth. He's just always green and is smart all the time. So I'm very interested to see this in action. I'm very excited that we're starting to film some of this stuff out in public, right? To get going.
Praise the owners of the telephoto lenses that are out there standing up on some grassy knoll with this downshot perspective of getting these actors. Always funny.
And what's crazy is just to touch on the Harrison Ford ones a bit. Like he's in blue shirt, black tie, black pants. He doesn't have the Thunderbolt Ross mustache going on here. So I don't know if maybe they're gonna forego that, with this version of him or not. But
Harrison Ford mustache. I want to see. Oh my God, it's so weird.
Oh, no.
You can find photos of him in a mustache, but it is not often. This would have been like like older as in like in the past. Wow, he doesn't look bad with a mustache, but you historically have seen him more like usually there's a goatee attached to the mustache in a way.
The cleaner shaven beard about the time he was doing Star Wars.
He looks Tom Selleck-y with the mustache, not necessarily in a bad way, but he can pull it off. I mean, he's a handsome man. He can pull off it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's a thick mustache. You know, he's got that Hollywood thick mustache. So I'm interested to see if maybe they CGI it on there or something. I don't know. Yeah, you can check out all those photos in our show notes and get to take a look at that, because that is going to be, if they're filming, I'm very excited to see what we get on as we get closer to that. Deadpool 3 news here. The actress Leslie Uggams and actor Karan Soni will be back for Deadpool 3. They have been in all 3 Deadpool movies. Leslie Uggams is Blind Owl, right? You remember that from the other movies? And then Karan Soni was the taxi driver from those. So
I just saw as well that they have hired yet another writer. I think it was
Zeb Wells, who's a comic writer. He is not rewriting it. It's like he's joined the writing team. I think he's doing individual like touch-ups for some of the jokes.
I'm taking this. I'm trying to take this in the best way possible, right? Because we all want Deadpool 3 to be good. I think there has just been so much strategic changes for this movie over the years from when it's entered production that the movie has now needed to accomplish different things than it has previously, right? I would imagine the first version of the script was probably more of like, let's make a third Deadpool movie that fits in line with the last 2 that you just saw. But now it almost feels like, well, we have to do that, but we also kind of need to bridge this gap, right? We're bringing this very meta character into a brand new universe. Everyone's expecting the character to comment on this whole multiversal craziness, right? We're going to be throwing in, we talked about it last week, throwing in characters from the TVA, right? So it just seems like it's doing a lot more, which is why that they've had so many passes at the script. So I'm definitely looking forward to this movie.
And I'm gonna say Zeb Wells, he's not a movie writer, right? He's done a couple TV shows. Super Mansion. Do you remember the animated show Super Mansion?
Yeah, was that the stop motiony one? Wasn't that a Crackle like original or something?
No,
like that?
No, it was. Well, I don't know actually what it was on. He did Super Mansion, and he's worked on Robot Chicken, right? He's like more of a joke writer, if you will, or like so. I don't think he's writing the script. I think he's in there to like polish some of the interactions a little bit, because he's worked in comic books. He's worked in again Robot Chicken mostly. I think if I remember correctly, he did write the one of the She-Hulk episodes where they went to Abomination's place. Like where she went and hung out with. He wrote that episode as well, so he's got his finger in a couple Marvel things. I just pulled him up. He's the head writer of Marvel Zombies animated show as well, so he's getting in there. But like, I think he's just touching it up a little bit. So I'm excited for Deadpool 3. I mean, this is great. They're bringing these actors back, more writing, more people touching the script. Right, that's always good. How many people touched? What was it? Into the Spider-Verse we looked at one time. It was like 8 different people wrote it. So. The more the merrier sometimes, so we'll cross our fingers. Because I was going to bring up the next thing is Across the Spider-Verse, Mike. We get our new trailer on Tuesday, and we got a little preview today in our show notes you can go watch. This movie, again, drops June 2nd, so I don't think it's a ticket trailer this week. But very excited to learn more about these Spider-Verse movies. The first one was fantastic. We want to know more. I did hear on reports on the 30th that the live-action Spider-Man characters, Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, are rumored to be involved in something Spider-Man related. A lot of people were thinking maybe they're going to make cameos in Across the Spider-Verse. Sony would probably do that because they saw $1 billion out of the last time they were on a movie. But I'm interested to see what Sony has up their sleeves coming soon. For this stuff.
Yeah, stay tuned with the Spider-Verse 2 stuff. The very first Spider-Verse movie was having early screenings where you could check it out a couple weeks in advance depending on your location and city, but it has been elevated much more since that first film, so it might not. You might have to wait until it comes out like everybody else. Yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, check out the spot or wait for the trailer on Tuesday. Again, their trailer's dropping all over Tuesday. Tomorrow morning on Monday, you can actually catch the new Blue Beetle trailer, Mike. The first footage of this live action movie debuted through a teaser in our link in our show notes, and you can see the suit take place. a little bit of the action, and the trailer will be first. If you're listening to this on Monday morning, the trailer's probably out. But like literally very excited to see this come to life, right? Like this is like the DC movie we have nothing other than set photos on. So really cool to get some actual footage going on.
I just watched the teaser. The teaser looks fun. It's exciting. It's very kinetic, at least with the little bit of camera work that we're seeing in here. So
yeah, and then the suit looks, again, it's not. I cannot open Twitter in my browser right now because I'm having a crisis. But if I go over to the other thing and open up, like it's like it looks. The Beetle is like very bright blue, right? In this, and the suit at the end is very, I guess, like blue looking. Like it's very cool, like how blue it is, like electric blue.
Well, it's blue?
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, I've expected more of like a muted tone, and they really like leaned into like, here's the outline blues, here's the glowies part, the stuff. So
just seeing this teaser trailer, right? It makes me think, okay, we're seeing the origin for a character, and then overall, I'm just thinking DC Universe for the entirety of some sort of universe that they're trying to get off the ground, whether it's like Snyder or whatever, Dwayne Johnson, however you want to call it. The heroes have always existed, right? I guess maybe Man of Steel it seemed like something new and brand new, but really, if you look at it, Batman was already out in the world when Man of Steel was technically out there, destroying Metropolis.
Well, and so Wonder Woman had been around for even longer.
Yeah, that's true. So how is this going to work with like Blue Beetle, right? As we see every time there's like a teenager, right, in any of these movies, there's always like a Superman poster in the bedroom. It almost just seems like a lame attempt to say that there's already superheroes there, right? I would like to see them maybe do something a little bit more creative than just, poster on the wall of Superman, right? So I'm curious to see if they'll do anything unique there, right? Since they're kind of starting from scratch, at least with a character.
If they are wanting this to pay forward into James Gunn's universe, right? And called Gods and Monsters, I think, right? My guess is last minute, go remove any reference to anything DCEU related, and just put up anything not comic book related and see if it works. And if it doesn't stick and doesn't land, they won't use them, but I think they'll probably be like, now just take it all down. Like, we don't want anything to people to remember this by at all, so...
Know what they should do? Remove the whole reference of Superman poster on the wall, and you know how they have those like limited editions like McDonald's meals that are crafted to celebrities. Like, I'd like the Superman McDouble meal, and then you get like a little designer toy with it.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna guess like this. They're not gonna take the Shazam route, right? It'll be a little more standalone. Hopefully, knock on wood, but
less Black Adam kickflips.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe. No, I'm kidding. We'll see. Joker stuff. Joker. We a video clip in here, Mike. I don't know if you saw that. There's a video clip of Lady Gaga, as Harley Quinn, or I guess as Harleen Quinzel, but also a photo of her as Harley Quinn from set. Like they're out filming this in the streets. Everyone can see.
Lady Gaga's been in and out of my social feeds like all week long. Like, I think when we were recording the podcast last week, there was some kind of stuff dropping, and then they're filming on probably, I don't know, I feel like it's always Cleveland, right? It's always like some bigger town in Ohio where they're always like doubling for some sort of court steps. So I don't know if that's exactly what's happening here, right? But yeah, like I've seen people throwing around the idea that like she's maybe Joker's lawyer or something, but she seems to be walking up and down these steps in some official capacity.
Yes,
she's like smooching people, and I don't know what's going on.
It's very out of context. So the first one is her in the Harley Quinn outfit in a crowd, which is cool looking, right? I think that first look is nothing's ever the same until you see it in action. But I think they have tailored her look to this Joker universe fairly well, right? This isn't this is not your animated Harley Quinn, this isn't your Margot Robbie, this is the Joker universe version, and it fits really well. I think really good job. The other one is she's not in this outfit, but it is the exact steps from the Joker, and I think someone even said in the comments maybe she's singing something while doing it as well, like kind of leading credits, like it's maybe part musical of a movie as well. I don't know. I don't know at all. I don't know anything about this movie, Mike, and it's really
it's
not freaking me out, but I'm like, this is crazy that we don't know anything about this.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in the first movie that there's kind of these, out of body kind of experiences, right? So you could see like, a musical number happening, but it doesn't necessarily affect the narrative, right? It's not like we're going to defeat the villain with song and dance. It's like somebody's having a psychotic episode and it happens to be a song and dance in their head or something like that. So, that could be happening. But I don't know, this whole Joker thing is so, I don't know if I want to say lightning in a bottle necessarily, but it's definitely unique to everything else out there happening right now, comic book wise, right? I mean, it's an own unique take on the character, right? Doesn't really seem to be interconnected to the universe at large. I can't see in my mind's eye Joaquin Phoenix like jumping through like a portal, right, and landing in James Gunn universe. It kind of feels like does it end here, right? Is this the last bit of it?
I thought the last one was the last one, right?
Right.
The first one can stand alone on its own and be good. So the fact that they're doing two, kind of interesting. Now, James Gunn or not, the people running this show probably have their fingers in and deals made that if they wanted to do a third one, they probably could. But I don't feel I don't know if they're making this with the third one in mind, right? I'm making this assumption on nothing. I hope they're not making it with the third one in mind. Like, hey, we want to make a good second movie, and then maybe like, oh well, we got a great idea. Let's make a good third movie if this is well received.
If they make a third one, I want to see them go kind of almost like full like indie comic or alternate universe route in a way of like do a time jump between the second movie and the third movie, and now like Bruce Wayne's an adult and there is a Batman out there, but like maybe Batman in this universe is like a total like asshole, right? Like maybe it's kind of more of like a what's the Will Smith superhero movie?
Hancock.
Hancock, right? Maybe it's like something like that. So it's like, just this totally different, like The Boys kind of take, even though I say totally different take and I reference something that's already existing, right? So, that could be kind of fun. And then, conclude it as a trilogy as movies used to do.
Yeah, and they could easily do. I don't know if how much time jumping are they going to have to do? Because right, Bruce Wayne was like a young boy in the last one, right? To make Batman work.
Hey, I mean, if there's kind of like 10 years in each movie, I mean, that'll kind of get you there.
Well, that's if there is 10 years. This doesn't look like maybe there's 10 years, but like I would say if I wanted to see anything out of this, is maybe it's not a Batman. Maybe we don't even know who the villain is, but like who are the villains, and like maybe it's another, I guess, quote unquote Batman villain. Is it like when the villains are at each other rather than someone saving the city? Again, not necessarily a penguin, but we'll talk about another Batman character who's rumored here in a second. But I'd be interested to see them bring not just Joker, Harley Quinn. I think there was like Harvey Dent on some of the signs, I think so. In some of the other set photos this week, pull a villain out that's like I wouldn't say underutilized, but could live in this Joker universe who isn't like super powered or like I don't know, like who couldn't fit in here. Like you're not gonna have the animated series version of Clayface in here, just as an example that we'll talk about again here in a second. But like maybe it's the Scarecrow, right, from the Dark Knight, or I guess Batman Begins. You have like a Scarecrow version. So I don't know. You guys check out the links in our show notes. You can check out Lady Gaga dancing on the Joker stairs and her Harley Quinn outfit. But speaking of the Batman, the current Batman script is going through iterations, very much in flux. But that said that Clayface is currently a big part of the Batman 2 script. And in case you didn't know, there was the original Clayface. I can't think of his name, but he was someone who had like a clay mask that he would wear so people couldn't see who he was. He was not the clay monster that we're all familiar with from the 90s show and later.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what you do right, because that is the most iconic version of the character, is the transforming, kind of mimicking Mystique style, character. And I would say that's generally what the audience is expecting, right? I know Matt Reeves is kind of building more of a grounded Batman universe here, right? Especially with the Riddler, and that's just kind of like a psychopath that you fight, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, sometimes when you're reading a comic book or getting into superhero land, you want a little magic to happen in a way. So does he keep it grounded through his whole trilogy and go hardcore core Nolan? I don't know. Does he start to maybe try to evolve it a little bit? I think we all want to see the Clayface that we've seen from the animated series, right? That is the iconic version of it. Could they adapt it and make it look realistic in their universe? I mean, why not? Go for it. We'll have to see.
I think we all agree we'd love to see it, but if there is no fucking way they would do that in this universe where Batman is, goth boy the whole, thing. Literally, I don't think they're gonna give people powers, which is sad, because in the Batman universe they do have powers. So yeah.
I mean, the only thing I could feel like I could maybe pitch as an idea is it's an escalation of an arms race, right? Gotham used to kind of be lawless in a way. Now all of a sudden there's a vigilante on the scene that's putting his boot on villains' necks. So now maybe the villains are taking more risks, right? And they want to amp it up a notch, and somebody, I don't think this is the lamest idea, somebody falls into a vat of radioactive clay, or not like that, but
right. Someone scientifically experimenting on themselves to give them powers, and it just happens to be the Clayface powers we know.
Yeah, but this is indeed going to be the challenge for Reeves moving forward, right? How do I keep my story grounded and realistic and feels like it has stakes, but also how do I stay true to a fantasy comic book world, right, where things aren't necessarily realistic? So
yeah.
I mean, it seems like we're going to have an alternate Batman at some point in time, right, where we'll get to lean into more of the fantasy stuff. So maybe that's the strategy. Yeah. Let's leave the fantasy Batman to James Gunn.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be fine. You have your two universes that are super serious, right? Your Joker and your Batman, and then you have James, the DCU version, and he's got a son who's an assassin, a 10-year-old assassin. You can probably have some mystical stuff going on in here, right? The kid's grandpa's Ra's al Ghul who had Lazarus pits who could bring him back to life. I agree. I think there's an opportunity to have them live side by side for that. So, I agree with you. At the end of the day, it's probably not going to happen for Matt Reeves being as fun and out there, but I think they could find the original Clayface and make it work in this, but I would not want to take him off the table for somebody else down the road to use. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Superman, the animated show My Adventures with Superman, I think we talked about several years ago. I forgot this was even a thing for a while. Was not picked up by HBO Max or Warner Brothers, but has instead will debut on Adult Swim later this year. So
I mean, this is a great opportunity to bring up this interview I read this week. It was whoever the dude that's in charge of Adult Swim right now. He has a lot of other things under his umbrella: Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, Bloomberg News, and I think maybe one other thing, because he was promoted kind of when the Warner Brothers merger happened from just covering cartoons to now he does a couple other things, right? So he was being interviewed, and he was kind of talking about the overall strategy for animation. And he says, there's this kind of dichotomy right now between my boss, Zavlov, who wants to lean into everything kind of reality show based, right? Because it's cheaper to produce. You can make a lot more of it much faster than you can animation. But he laid out this really interesting statistic where he said they're all very impressed how long lasting animation is. He said that now that they have all of these stats from all of this technology and streaming and everything, they said some maybe 3% of their viewing time comes from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yes, I am probably 2% of that, but yes.
Yeah, which produced their last piece of content in 2015 or something like that. So the legacy power content of animation is very, very strong. So yes, it takes longer to make. It's more expensive. It's more of a gamble. But you can actually have a robust catalog with animated stuff because it just doesn't age. who goes back and re-binges and re-watches reality shows? I'm sure there's some people out there, but that's just not a thing that you do with like, that type of content.
Yeah. Well,
So,
there's no story, right? Like most of the reality show stuff, like once you know the ending, everything else is irrelevant.
Yeah, and he was saying he's feeling very supported. He's feeling very empowered with the executives that are telling him to like keep blazing forward, make more of these cartoons. We're loving it. So I think it's cool that this is landing on Adult Swim, because I think that is just going to be a good home for this type of stuff moving forward. And Chris, I don't know, this is just me getting older, looking at these younger whippersnappers who doesn't remember what it's like. But when we were kids, Adult Swim started at 10 p.m. Because they could not show anything salacious on Cartoon Network before 10 p.m. Now they're talking about a brand new Adult Swim hour that starts at like 6 p.m. They have moved Adult Swim up so much earlier in the day. They're like, no, we don't care. We don't care what these kids see now. Adult Swim is so popular. It's starting at 6 p.m.
I think I disagree with you. I think they have taken what we called Toonami and evolved that into Adult Swim, the brand name, because nobody was watching Toonami anymore. They're like, we put Toonami in Adult Swim. Well, I guess the Adult Swim hour. So now Adult Swim's moving up because that was the Toonami block.
You're trying to tell me little elementary school kids aren't finishing their dinner and then turning on the Squidbillies at like 6:30?
No, they're absolutely not. Like they're getting home from school to watch their Dragon Ball Z, Mike, just like we used to do.
Yeah, but I always love talking about cartoons. So long way of saying I'm looking forward to checking this out. And there is a trailer for Gengi Tartakovsky's new Adult Swim show called like Unicorn Soldiers, or I don't remember exactly what it was, but it looks pretty cool. It's intense. It's mature, more adult on Adult Swim. So
is that I'm looking here because I pulled up the Warner Brothers animation series. I'm trying to look at what it was, but I don't see that one in here. Like Warner Brothers makes a lot of stuff. Goddamn.
Yeah, I think technically though WB Animation is still separate from Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. Like they're all down in Georgia. WB Animation out here in Burbank. So different worlds, but cartoons for all.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like WB does most of the superhero DC stuff, right? That's what I'm seeing. Starting with like Batman, the animated series, Tiny Toons Adventures. You remember those? Freakazoid I actually talked about this weekend. So all the way up through My Adventures with Superman coming sometime this year.
It was Unicorn Warriors Eternal. Don't let the name throw you off. It does not look like My Little Pony at all.
No.
So yeah, go check that out.
Absolutely. This fun fact on Ahsoka, we may have covered this before on air, maybe off air. I don't remember. But there are reports of the Ahsoka show featuring undead stormtroopers, Mike, and my ears perked right up.
This is new to me. I don't know what this is.
So apparently, you're familiar with the Night Sisters from the Clone Wars, the magic users.
They brought back like Darth Maul or something. They gave him legs, right? They gave him robot legs.
They're the ones who saved him and gave it brought his sanity back, and they empowered his brother Savage Opress, right during that time. Apparently they're going to be in this show and use stormtrooper bodies as undead warriors in this, and the lightsaber force users are going to be using samurai based lightsaber designs as well.
So that'll be an interesting bridge, right, to bring to live action. When you're watching the Clone Wars, especially if you're more of an adult, you realize, okay, this is content primarily made for kids, but, thankfully people like Filoni did their best to make it all ages, just good storytelling, right? Mm-hmm. But also when you start to see things like witches doing magic, right, I just kind of let it roll off my shoulders of just this is just a Clone Wars,
They are not witches using magic. They are witches using dark side force powers is what it is.
But for all intents and purposes, if you're watching it though, it looks like magic. But I don't remember if there was a cauldron specifically, but I feel like I'm remembering a little.
They're kind of, but they were using dark force powers essentially because they were the same. I guess the Zabrak race, right, is what Darth Maul is, and these were the female versions of them. But
I like that idea. I like that idea of how a different culture on a different planet is interpreting the powers of the Force in a different way, right?
Yeah.
I can see how that kind of ability could kind of materialize as more like witchcraft. So I'm just curious to see, how do you make that journey to live action and it doesn't just look like, wait, there's magic in Star Wars now?
Yeah.
I know there's always been magic in Star Wars, but you know what I'm saying. So
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how that
absolutely. And I believe, again, full faith in Dave Filoni, right? Like, I think he's a great storyteller, understands the universe well. I'm excited to see, literally, because I've heard like there's like red veins going through the armor, like red energy, like I guess lightsaber, like red energy, like evil energy, like animating these undead stormtroopers. And I don't know if you remember, there was a book several years ago, 10, 15 years ago, called Red Harvest, which is a play in reference to Blue Harvest, which was the working title of Star Wars. Red Harvest is literally like they find this, I don't know, they end up on some planet and like this platoon of stormtroopers have been reanimated into like evil, like dead zombie stormtroopers, and it was a really cool read. So I think this is them translating some of that quote unquote legacy stuff to live action as well.
Well, I did just land on a wiki page because I just searched, undead stormtroopers, and I guess there is a story at some point in Star Wars. I imagine it probably happens in a comic book or a novel where there is some sort of like sickness, a viral agent here that hits some stormtroopers.
Yeah, that is from Red Harvest. That's exactly what that's from.
Okay.
It's really, really fantastic. There's a really good scary like zombie story. So absolutely. But then I think to me the samurai based lightsaber designs are pretty cool. Like one's using like I think they call it a red clay design, which is like a heavier blade, but like when you swing, or a heavier hilt, but when you swing, it's got more force behind it along the way. I was like, I really want to see these really take on, again, like you mentioned, the different cultures, the different planets, like designs. Lightsabers are so basic if they're made by the Jedi temples, like, right, they all look the same. I would love to see some more variations on those, and hopefully they can do it with the show along the way. Let's jump into our last bit of news here. This dropped, I believe, was it Thursday? Late Thursday, maybe first thing Friday. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. You remember there was a book series and then converted to a live action movie in 2010, 2011. They are now creating an anime for Netflix for this movie, or for this book series, World Series. And what's really cool is they've gotten all of the live action cast to return and reprise their role as those characters in this anime. Even
your new best friend Chris Evans is returning.
Yep,
which is wild. That just means he had a great time on set with Edgar Wright, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason Chris Evans comes back to do like some Netflix adaptation of something unless he had like a great time. So that was awesome news. I think that the term anime is being used here loosely in a way because the art style's already been predetermined, right? The original creator, Brian Lee O'Malley, he already designed these characters. And yeah, you could say, there's manga inspiration there, right? So I would caution people from thinking like, oh, it's getting redesigned and it's going to look like, Death Note or My Hero Academia or something. I'm just hoping for like an authentic, adaptation of like the original source material.
So the creator, he's involved. He's the one writing it. So absolutely. They had this. I had the article. I'll pull up. They have already named the studio for it, and it is an anime studio. So, I don't know if they're taking. I don't think they're taking the book and translating that exactly. I think they are redesigning it a little bit for the movement style of it.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like big old Sailor Moon type eyes or anything like that. But no, this is exciting. Like Scott Pilgrim versus the World is like one of my like top 10 favorite movies of all time. The soundtrack is amazing. And it feels weird to say this. I have not really read Scott Pilgrim the originals. I had some of the books for a while. I read a few of them. I read some of Brian Lee O'Malley's other works. Like he had this book called Seconds, which was pretty cool. So I'm familiar with the work.
Yeah.
But yeah, the original source material, I don't know, like Edgar Wright just like knocked it out of the park, and now it's like it's hard for me to imagine it as anything else. But this is gonna be great. This is gonna be like meshing both worlds together. So
yeah,
this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, and I it's for some people they forget how I guess how many actors were so small, like right, like they were not big name actors when they were in this. Like looking up here, that came out in what 2010. So 2010. So Chris Evans hadn't even been Captain America yet. So we've got Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, returning as Scott Pilgrim, Ramona Flowers, Kieran Culkin as his roommate Wallace, which I loved. Chris Evans, Anna Kendrick, Brie Larson, Allison Pill, Aubrey Plaza, Brandon Ruth, Jason Schwartzman. I don't know who Johnny Simmons is. Mark Webber, Mae Whitman, who was also the voice of Avatar: The Last Airbender. The girl's name.
Not Korra. Katara.
Katara. She's the voice actress of Katara. And Ellen Wong, returning as Knives Out. So like absolutely stat cast back then, even better. Stat cast now after all these years. So very absolutely great. I'm trying to pull up here. They had a little teaser, but it's just the names. But yes, so Science Saru is the studio, Mike, by the way, that is doing this, and they are. I live in Japan. I'm trying to see if they had any other work they did. Adventure Time, some stuff like that. I don't know. Oh, Star Wars Visions, for 2021. They did Akakiri and TOB1. Do you remember those? I don't remember watching any of those.
I don't know.
Either way, so I'm excited to see what they act like. You mentioned what do they do with the visuals and how does the studio actually turn it out. So very very excited. We'll keep you guys posted as more of that comes out. Netflix has a lot of stuff in like the works, and I want to see them actually deliver some of this product. Right, like while this is cool, Netflix still has that live action Avatar series. They've been working on a bunch of other stuff. Like, when are they going to deliver some of this product, man? Like, that's what I want to know. I'm tired of waiting. So we'll keep you guys posted. That's the episode for this week, Mike. We'll let everyone get on with the day. But if people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where they can read that new webcomic of yours, where can they find you at?
Yeah, they can find me at Mike Royer Design, and you can read my new webcomic at Life Rewards Risk or liferewardsrisk.com. Go check that out. Luckily, I picked a title where all of the social handles exist everywhere. No one's taken it. So you're good to throw that at in front of pretty much every social media website. Yeah, so go check it out. Go read it. I'll be dropping a brand new comic at some point this week. I haven't decided on a day. What's the best day to drop? For the first time in history, a former president's getting indicted on Tuesday, so maybe that's not the best day to put something new on the internet, but maybe the day after or something like that.
You need to do it first before they get to it. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm more important. But Chris, if people want to check you out, how they can see how your Chicago experience went,
find me on Instagram, Valdan87, or Twitter, Valdan VALDANs. I took some videos and photos. We'll be going through that this week. Put them up there. Or they can come back to the show every week. If people know more about Superhero Slate, we did our review for what did we last just watch, Mike? Was it Shazam we did recently? And then we're coming up on probably Super Mario Brothers or Guardians, one of the two. Where can they get all that goodies at?
Head on over to superheroslate.com. That is the convention headquarters for everything Superhero Slate. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to find podcasts. We got all of our awesome show notes there, too. We got a lot of blue links in the notes this week, so you're going to want to hit up those show notes for sure. Find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Reach out. Let us know if you're looking forward to the next comic book convention out there, which I think the next big one might be San Diego.
There's a bunch in the middle, but yeah, the ones we'll probably cover the most is San Diego for sure.
Yeah, because WonderCon was just the other week, and I don't think there was any big news out of WonderCon. But yeah, stay tuned. Who knows if there'll ever be another DC fandom? Yeah. But we love our super fans. If you want to be a super fan of this show, all you got to do is share the show with a buddy, share the show with a friend. We'll be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.